and welcome back to another episode of the Digital Drive-In Podcast, everybody. My name is Alex. I'm
Digital Drive-In Wednesday! Yay!
It's not
Boing.
Wednesday.
I don't remember what they do for Thursday.
You're just trying to rip off Inside Gaming?
Digital Drive-In Fridays. Yes!
It's not Friday either.
Well, that, and I like suddenly wanted to do Little John.
Yeah! As always on the show, we talk about some of our favorite movies and, of course, why they're so great and stuff. I was like almost Jeff Goldbluming again.
Why they're so great. Yes.
My name, of course, is Alex, and I'm joined, as always, by my
Turd Ferguson.
Ultra dark and...
It's a funny name.
Dumbass co-host Garrett.
It's okay. Get your notes together, and then we'll try it again.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
And Garrett, what movie are we talking about today? Before this goes off the rails, before it even starts.
Dawn of Just Ice.
Oh, so you're talking about BVS DOJUE.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
DOJUE.
Or Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Edition, which is such a long fucking title. But Garrett, I thought everybody on the universe, and especially on the internet, did you just sneeze?
No, I was laughing at you mispronouncing so many words.
I had too much pizza, went to my face. I can't speak. As always, wait, where was I? I'm cutting this. And welcome back, everybody. Good.
Hadouken. Welcome back, everyone, to you were just talking about how long the name was.
Yeah, it is long.
Great. Moving on.
I guess so. I had something I was going to say, something good, probably witty and hilarious, like always.
I wish the name of the movie would have been... I was trying to help you out. Okay.
That's not what I said, is it?
No, I thought that was where you were going.
No.
Okay.
I don't give a shit anymore. Anyway, what is this movie, Garrett? Oh, yeah.
Superman
I thought everybody in the universe, especially on the internet, just hates this movie, Garrett. So why are we talking about it on a podcast where we talk about our favorite movies?
Because you have bad taste?
Ugh.
Because it's one of our favorite movies?
I don't know. It's not
where you want me to
one of our favorite movies.
We don't hate it as bad as everyone on the internet hates it?
Yeah, I know. We're probably going to do like an hour of us defending it to all hell.
No, I can be the voice of reason. I'm okay with that.
Oh, you're just going to be like, actually, Alex, you're an idiot. Us sucks.
I actually like...
good if you're a simpleton.
I actually like Batman v Superman.
Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition.
Yes. Well, I like
the whole thing.
I like the theatrical version when I saw it, to be honest with you.
Theatrical cut as well, but I think the Ultimate cut is like far and away.
It's better.
Much better.
Sure. Especially story-wise. I mean, not everyone has read every comic since DC National Comics began.
So when this came out in 2016, Garrett,
yeah,
did you see it in theaters?
I saw opening night.
So did I. Across the world from each other, though.
Well, yeah, I guess.
A million
not
miles
really across
away.
the world.
Across the country and then up into another one.
We're in the same hemisphere.
But not in the same time zone. I probably saw it before you did. Shithead.
I don't care.
I don't know. Anyway. So were you mad?
Actually, you know what? No, you know what? I took the day off and I saw an earlier showing.
I saw it Thursday. Shit.
Oh, okay.
Thursday at like 7. Anyway.
I don't remember. Anyway.
When you got out of the theater, though, were you met with people getting pissed off?
I went with a group of people, oddly enough. I know that's strange for anyone out there to hear that I went with people. Yeah. I don't anymore, probably after this movie. There was one person that was with us that I think liked it maybe more than I did. Okay. And then like the other people were either confused, like they think that they liked it, but maybe not as much as the Nolan Batman universe. And then there was stuff in the story that didn't make sense to them. So we were talking about it at dinner, but I think the general consensus of the people I went with was like, hey, this is a pretty good movie. Cool. What about with you?
Well, like same, I guess. I didn't go with a lot of people, but everyone that I did go with liked it. I think I came out of it loving it, I think. And then, of course, I thought more on it, and there's some weaknesses, obviously weaknesses that I think the Ultimate Cut kind of corrected in some regard. I don't think it's the best movie ever made, obviously, but I liked it a lot when it came out. But there was like one of the radio stations was like at the theater, and they were like talking to people, which was really weird, as people were coming out and getting their impressions. Did you hear me say out like a Canadian?
Like a dirty Canadian would? Yeah, I did.
I usually don't. I'm always out, but whatever. Anyway, what was I talking about? The radio station was there interviewing people as they came out, and there was people getting pissed off when they were talking to the radio station. They were like, "It sucked," and they did like 2 thumbs down and all shit like that. And I was like, "You're not on camera. Why are you doing 2 thumbs down?" And yeah, I just had to keep my mouth shut in my Batman t-shirt and walk out of the theater because I didn't once. And having seen the Rotten Tomatoes and getting really anxious when it was like 20% or whatever going in, pretty much loved every second of it when I saw it. So, but
it's kind of like at this point, I had already seen enough Zack Snyder films, and like people's reaction to Man of Steel and Watchmen and 300. I mean, it's like and Dawn.
And
of
I
the
liked
Dead.
all of those going in,
right?
The ones that I had seen.
So it's like the people were like, I don't really like him, Zack Snyder. He's all a flash and no substance and all this. And I was just like, I like his visual flair.
Honestly.
Yeah, I don't agree with it.
He's too deep. I think
I don't know if I'd say that.
Well, what I mean is I think he tries to say without saying, but he doesn't say enough, if you know what I mean. He tries to tell his plot with visual without telling, like show don't tell, but he also doesn't tell at all. And I think you need to tell a little. And I think that's an issue that he has.
But I mean, it's like none of his stuff is ambiguous.
No.
Like everything is very straightforward. So if you can't tell what it is he's saying, you're the moron. Like you can't blame it. You can't put the blame at his feet for being like, I didn't get what you were saying in that scene.
I mean, in this one, you can, with a theatrical, you can put the blame at Warner Brothers' feet because there is legitimate points throughout this movie that we'll get to that don't make sense until the Ultimate Cut.
But again, if you're surprised at Warner Brothers screwing over comic book movies, have you been paying attention to the last 30 years?
Joel Schumacher, anybody?
I mean, but even before that, Superman 1 and Superman 2.
Right.
You had the Richard Donner cut and you have the Lester cut. It's like there's all of this stuff that has gone back over and over and over again that DC just screws their properties over.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're in a little bit of an upswing now, too. Obviously, people are really hot on Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Shazam, but...
Because when they do singular things that aren't tied in, they actually make really entertaining films.
Well, it's the thing. All 3 of those movies have nothing to do with a larger universe.
Yeah. And that's what they need to do.
That's what they're focusing on now. They're like, okay, fuck it. We don't need to connect these movies. Just make movies.
I think they're finally realizing that there's money left over if you don't try to mimic Marvel movies badly.
Yeah. And that's the thing with this movie is Dawn of Justice kind of tries to, defibrillate the universe. I didn't say that word right either, did I?
No, it's frib, but whatever.
You're a frib. Anyway, because they have Man of Steel, which I think was a good starting point. But then, we should have had a solo Batman. We should have had another Superman movie. We should have probably had a Wonder Woman movie, and then this movie, and then Justice League. I don't see why, the amount of stuff they try to jump into in the second movie in a franchise.
The problem is I hear that argument a lot. Okay. Now, I know times are different now, but when I was a kid, they wouldn't you didn't have Netflix where you could binge every single episode of something to get caught up. You just caught it when it was on TV. So you would start in the middle of season 5 of something and not know what was going on. You would go pick up a comic book. You wouldn't have a trade paperback that collected all of the comics in one storyline. You just picked it up and you had to figure out what was going on. And that was some of the fun of learning about something. It's just picking it up where you are.
Especially with comics at some points. Like if somebody would use a power,
the editor,
they would have a bubble beside them going oh, I can use this power to do this and this. So they would help you along because I think they wrote it with the intention of picking up new people. I don't think that's what this was. I think this was trying to cram the entirety of a Phase 1 Marvel movies into one movie to get to the Avengers, to make that Avengers money.
I can understand if it's baby's first comic book.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing. But it's like, how many years of comic book movies have to be made before you realize what the shit's about?
Yeah, I know. Which is probably because I am a big DC fan. I do a lot. I read a lot of the thick like collected editions of them. I don't really collect like comics, and I've seen all of the DC movies up to, well, I've seen them all, period. And so I was versed enough that I could gather what was going on. So I almost can't see a perspective of somebody who has no idea and how it would be confusing because I already know what's happening.
To me, the problem with this film, like my biggest problem with it, is that it needed to be longer. This needed to be a 10-hour season on HBO.
Yes, 100%. And I'd be all for it. This is going to be most of this podcast is us just going like, why wasn't it better? But also it was so good. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like jumping into, this movie's kind of like Long Halloween. Not in the story, but in the way that it doesn't like hold your hand, I guess. I feel like something like that, or like Dark Knight Returns, is written for people who have read a bunch of books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
This is like an event comic.
basically, yeah.
You're not learning where the characters came from. You're not establishing something. The characters are already in a certain part of their story, and you're picking up where they're at, and then trying to tell you a story based on characters that already exist. And to me, that's way more interesting because that's how normal movies are made. Too Old to Die Young.
Flip back and forth, by the way. Too Old
That's
to Die
fine.
Young.
Too Old to Die Young doesn't show you the origin story about how Miles Teller became a cop.
Right. Well, it doesn't need to.
Right, because
It's okay to drop you into the middle of a story.
Especially when you're using archetypes or tropes.
Right.
Then it's okay for you to continue on and then to show a development of a character. It's like people, and there's nothing wrong with this necessarily, but people almost expect every Hollywood script to be Back to the Future or Jurassic Park.
Right.
Where you're introduced to a character, they have an issue, they resolve it, they grow from point A to B to C, you have a 3-act structure, and then, stuff from the end ties into what happened at the beginning. And that's great when movies do that really well. But the problem is, for every 4 or 5 movies a year that do it really well, or somewhat well,
awful.
There are hundreds that are terrible.
Right.
So it's like, and especially after you've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of movies that do the exact same thing, something that does something a little bit different or just kind of like throws you in there and expects you to tread water and understand what's going on is a little refreshing, even if they don't pull it off 100%. What are some of the things you don't like that they did in this movie?
Honestly, not too much. I do think, most of it has to come, I feel like, with studio interference and all that. And I know we talked about Warner Brother messing, and you said they were meddling around all the way back to the first Superman movies. But I think that if Snyder, like you were talking about 10 hours, that could have been a good thing. If he was able to kind of tell the story he wanted to, which is obviously impossible when you have shareholders and all that kind of stuff, I guess. But if he was able to do what he wanted, dive in, take the time he needed, do what he needed to do with it, tell the story he wanted to tell without anybody forcing the Justice League into it or getting him to cut it down from 3 hour R-rated down to whatever the hell the 2.5 hour version is. I think that it would be way better, and honestly I think that audiences would like it more in a way if it was more focused, I guess, if there wasn't anybody meddling. But people have always hated Zack Snyder, and I think they always will. So like, I don't like Doomsday all that much. I think that it's a cool looking scene still. I think it's still fun and all that, but I don't think it was necessary. I don't think there should have been a third like outside force to come in and fight them to get them to team up with each other or anything. And I don't think that was intended. I think that was forced by Warner Brothers. Again, if I remember correctly, the original outline just had them fighting as pretty much the climax. But I can't remember it off the top of my head. Maybe the Martha thing's still happening. but not coming together to fight a common good. Just kind of hitting home that issue of Superman at the end of the day is human, and Bruce Wayne kind of learning that. That was more or less what he wanted to do. He didn't want to do the big explosive finale with Zod's body and fucking Doomsday and all that shit. But
the death of Superman should be its own film.
yes, the death of Superman shouldn't be the second film in your fucking cinematic universe. How about that? Because it's who gives a shit. Is Superman going to come back? Yeah. No shit. I mean, obviously they tease it at the end of this movie even. But
Right.
like there's no, I don't know, if you went into Justice League thinking he's not going to be in it, you're kind of an idiot.
Right.
That's the thing, is why would they kill off basically your lead character in the second movie? There's no emotion behind that, really. There's no anything behind it. It's just kind of like, oh, great. And I still think they do a good job with it, but it does feel kind of shoehorned in. And I don't know about you, but
No, I agree.
You haven't seen Justice League either, so
No, and I refuse to.
it's fucking awesome though. It's so shitty. It's so much fun. It's such shitty fun.
I think it would just piss me off.
Probably. I just laugh at how bad it is, kind of thing. So it would probably piss you off. I mean, there is, like this movie, there is good shit in it, but that movie's worse for interference because Joss Whedon came in at some point and fucked with it.
Right.
And you can tell what he did. And that's kind of awful because he has a very, what's the word? Slightly sexist under the surface overtones, I suppose. You know, Zack Snyder makes like Wonder Woman look kind of badass and mysterious and strong in this, in BVS, but she's not sexualized or anything. One of the first things Joss Whedon does in Justice League is have a flat out just ass shot as she's walking up towards Batman, or like Flash falling on top of her after saving her, and he like falls on her boobs, and it's like, I'm like, great, that's from like the fucking 1970s.
That's like one of the things I really liked about Wonder Woman besides her theme, which is fucking fantastic.
We can get to the music later because this movie has probably the best superhero music in a superhero movie. Yeah,
modern anyway. Yeah. Is when Doomsday hits her and she like slides across the ground and loses her sword. And she looks back and like smiles at him. It's like, what a great character scene. They didn't even have to put that in there, but showing like she's ready to fight. It's not surprising. I mean, because it seems like something that actually fits the character.
When she smiles like that, you're like, okay, that's who this person is. Immediately.
Yeah. Right. You know, and her own movie had those types of moments as well.
Still probably the
which
best
I found fun
of the bunch of the modern DC films. I think Wonder Woman. I like this one, I think, but that one's probably the best.
I just, you know, anytime there is the big CG battle,
I know.
Yeah, I mentally am like, I don't care.
But two good fight sequences, I guess you like.
I mean, it's
Batman versus Superman, the kind of fist fight that they have.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I like more of the conceptual tones that happen in the film.
Story rather than the action.
Yeah, and I like the characterization. I like where it's, you know, it's like Perry White at one point says, "No one is interested in Clark Kent taking on the Batman." You know, and it's like things like that. That's the kind of stuff that I love to read in the comics. Yeah, there are really neat, you know, ideas and concepts in it, and it's like I know a lot of that's actually taken from, you know, if you grab the best of Frank Miller and Alan Moore and Grant Morrison and Jeff Johns,
a lot of that in this one. Of a grizzled Batman.
Yeah. So it's like if you grab,
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, if you grab the great hits from like late 70s to mid 90s of Batman and Superman stories, of course you're going to have like really cool concepts. But that's the kind of stuff I like more. That's the kind of stuff that Watchmen is. It's like, okay, if this happened, how would characters act? And it's like Superman acts a lot like Dr. Manhattan in this, where he's like, you know, should I just get away from humanity? Like, do I really owe them anything? And it's like his character internalizing a lot of that and trying to figure out his place in the world, honest, you know? And it's like, I like that kind of stuff.
Superman, the movie, the 1971 or whatever, is like great. It's perfect, right? It's one of the best superhero movies. And then, well, we know that series kind of slowly declines throughout the rest of the movies. But I do think that almost in a sense that was done perfectly, and we like, you kind of can't have that trumpets blaring Superman, I guess, anymore. It's almost too cheesy nowadays. Anyway, getting off of this tyrant, I like what they do with Superman in this movie. I like him having those big questions, and I like Zack Snyder actually asking, if someone like this existed, chances are we would be afraid of him, right? Rather than him just being a hero. Would he be scary? How far would he go? What would happen if he went too far? And I think he sets up a lot of ideas, and he didn't get to go through with a lot of them either, which I think is a little unfortunate.
I mean, both characters are modernized, because Batman is a villain. Yes. He kills people, which I know pisses a lot of people off. But
this is a great interpretation, I think, of a different Batman.
Yeah, because it goes back to its fundamentals. It goes back to what if we took that Batman from the 30s and put him in the modern day?
People in his first issue,
right? And he fought all gangsters. Yeah. It was all organized crime, which I know Nolan's Batman kind of touched on that a little bit.
Michael Mann Batman.
Yeah, it's the heat in the Batman universe.
So with something like this, I think it's interesting because people really, really hate on it. But I don't think that we need to have the exact same interpretation of a character every single time we see them on screen. That's where I was going with the 1970s Superman thing. I think that it's this is a much more interesting version of these characters than seeing something we've already seen perfected, like in The Dark Knight and like in Superman the movie.
People talk about guilty pleasures, right? As a kid, my guilty pleasure, and it's only I'm only guilty about it because of what other people think. I might be the only person that wants to champion this film because I always hear people talk shit about it. Superman 3
is good. It's Superman 3 is like a Rocky 3 to me, where it's kind of shit but also awesome.
My child brain.
That's 2.
No, that's Superman 2.
Number 3.
Superman 3 is the one with Richard Pryor, which is a big comedy thing. That's what everybody remembers. Is Robert Vaughn is the bad guy who's a knockoff Gene Hackman, and then Richard Pryor is there for comic relief. And I understand all of the complaints about that. My favorite part, 2 of my favorite parts. One is the closest we've ever gotten to Brainiac in a movie. But the second one is Superman has that weird kryptonite that turns him somewhat evil.
Yeah.
And his costume gets muted. He goes to a bar and drinks and flicks the peanuts at the bottles and breaks everything. And then he goes to a junkyard and fights the projection of himself as Clark Kent.
Right. And
as a kid, I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in a comic book movie. And it's it has always stuck with me. That's why everything in Twin Peaks, when it's Dale fighting his doppelganger, I'm like, yes, a good version of the story. And it's just I just can't get enough of the darkness fighting the light. And it's that to me, that's the hero story, right? That's the mythology of there's the good fighting the evil, and the good can't become the evil because then that brings something else. And so Zack Snyder tapping into that of what if Superman lost his connection to humanity, which in this movie they say is Lois. What would the world be like? What would Superman be like? And setting this up as the mirror universe, or the dark universe, where Superman actually goes evil and starts working for Apocalypse and turns the Earth into his own dominion.
Interesting to see. But they're not going to fucking do it.
It's fascinating. No. And so I was I love the direction it was going in. I love that Batman shows his physicality and knows that there's he thinks there is no point too far to go if what I'm actually doing is the right thing to do.
And if you think about, because the one thing that they do is they do kind of hint at the Jason Todd death in this.
Right.
The whole Joker, joke's on you, Batman. Is written on the Robin suit of someone that's dead, the Robin that's dead. So I think it's a really good kind of take on the Batman, like you said, who's not willing to have a line anymore, because after losing Jason Todd, I don't think he thinks there is a line anymore. He doesn't want that to ever happen again. Right. So in order to do that, you need to take them out, kind of thing.
Yeah, he turns into Judge Dredd in this movie,
which I think is fascinating because, like I've said, we have already seen an interpretation of the good no-kill Batman in the Nolan movies and in the Keaton. Well, Keaton kills a fuckload of people, actually. Never mind.
Right.
And he has guns.
And he has guns and grenades.
Batman Returns. Anyway, I don't know why it was a big deal that he killed in this movie. But I love the idea of Bruce Wayne being a villain. And I don't think that there's a better opening scene and I don't get how people didn't get that he was a villain right off the bat. The opening scene of this movie, I don't know about you, it's fantastic. I think it's so...
I love it being shot like a horror movie.
It's so fucking good. And like a horror, like a disaster movie, like everything, like when it fades into the white screen and it just says Metropolis, then mankind is introduced to the Superman. It kind of, even just the words there separate Superman from the rest of the world. I think he kind of hammers that home a lot in this one, maybe too much, where it's like, you are different, you are different.
The intensity of the stare.
Yes, that's what it is at the end.
That Affleck has, holding that girl and into his chest.
And sees Superman and Zod, and a hail of fire and destruction rain down onto a city full of innocents. And all that's going through his head is, I'm holding one girl right now whose mother was in that building and is now dead. That building's coming down over there, so is that one over there. And he looks up and he sees the red cape fly by, and he goes, that red cape is killing all of these people right now. And he doesn't know it. I don't know. He doesn't care. And now he's, like he says, willing to do absolutely anything possible to destroy that, to make sure it never happens again. And you're like, you're right. That stare that he has up in the sky is so good. It's so intense. Like, Ben Affleck nails the hell out of that. And the second, if you can't understand, I thought that he was out to kill Superman the entire movie, really. That's what he is.
Right. Yeah.
And he becomes, that's kind of like setting up the villain. It shows Man of Steel's like heroic, beat the bad guy, final battle kind of thing in a new light, where now it becomes, you beat the bad guy, but look at what you did to an entire city. And I think that's super interesting. And same with the whole storyline of like holding him accountable for that, and holding him accountable for a bunch of other things that he did and destruction he causes with every heroic act he does. I think that that's super interesting, and the pun intended there. But
and then you get the reverse of that look at the scene that everyone cringes on, but the fact that it flashes in front of Bruce's face now that he is the villain causing the destruction of an innocent person. And he realizes that he's the person now that could pull the trigger on his parents.
Yeah. I mean, like the Martha scene, everybody hammers on.
Yeah.
And I think the execution's a tad wonky, but I think that it makes perfect sense. And it's a great moment, I think, in the movie, at least for me. I never had a problem with it, because I never connected that their mothers had the same names, even while reading the books or anything. But
to me, it's the Game of Thrones season 8 issue of it. It's not what they did that bothers me. It's maybe like how quickly it was resolved.
Which, I mean, we almost did a Game of Thrones episode, by the way, for anyone that is listening, but we pussied out at the last second because we're trying to get the show off the ground. And if we had a purely positive episode about Game of Thrones with two people that loved it, I think that it would have been we wouldn't have gotten any attention, or negative attention, which is better than nothing at all. Maybe we should have done it.
Yeah, well, we still can at some point.
Who cares about that show?
What do you think about Alfred?
Well, I'm going to finish up with the Martha thing first.
I'm sorry.
It's with the whole... I just love that moment where Bruce realizes that he, like you said, is the one like pulling the gun on his mother kind of thing. And I forget now, even though I watched it today, does it cut away to his mom when Clark says that, or no? It does. It's not
his
even like
the memory
read between the lines, like Snyder tells you. And there were still people going like, "What did that mean? Why did he? Just because their mothers have the same name?" There was people saying that, right? I can't believe he went and he stopped killing Superman just because their moms have the same name. No, it's because he doesn't want to be the guy in the alley. He doesn't want to orphan somebody. Anyway, I had never once had a problem with that scene. So that's the end of my tirade on that. What do I think about Alfred? It's Michael Caine is probably the most traditional Alfred there is. Best, I think, live action interpretation of the traditional Batman or Alfred, where he's just like the butler. But Jeremy Irons is far and away my favorite Alfred in a live action movie. Something about the grizzled, like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Yet Alfred is so good to me.
Well, I like that he's the mechanic. He like sets the stuff up. He's almost like the basically. Jarvis.
And then he also just jabs him for everything he does. Where he's like, "I'm not dead yet," and then he goes, "Nope, not for trying. And you're like, ha ha ha. That's a cheesy line, but it's hilarious.
Or like that there won't be a wine cellar for the next generation of Waynes. Not that there's going to be a next generation, you know.
Oh man, and then I don't know if it's Joss Whedon in Justice League. He tries to like set up Batman with Wonder Woman, and Batman's like, "Get the fuck out of here, you idiot!"
Yeah, she's
Pretty
a god
much.
that doesn't age. She's more in line
He
with
says
Superman.
something like, "Maybe there'll be a next generation." When when she like comes over or whatever, she just comes over to say hi to Bruce before they get the team together, and Alfred's like, "You're gonna fuck that." Because if not, I will.
See, Batman and Catwoman to me always made the most sense.
They have a great dynamic. We can get into that on a different day.
I know.
Because Hush was always one of my favorite books, and I loved that dynamic that they had in Hush. But again, we could talk about that all day, but we're a bunch of fucking nerds, so we'll try to keep this just to BVS, DOJUE.
So what about Lois?
You go first.
I like Amy Adams. She wasn't given very much to do in the film, especially, I mean, the theatrical cut, she's almost cut out. But it's like they gave her some things to do as a journalist, so that's cool. She doesn't have
the whole bullet.
But she was
side quest isn't in the theatrical cut,
right?
Which is again important to the story.
But it's kind of like she just turns into the damsel in distress, basically. Like, she gets pushed off the thing so that Superman can save her, and then she's almost drowning so that Superman can save her. So it's like, well, at least she stopped Batman from stabbing him. Of course, Jimmy Olsen gets killed off really early.
So Zack Snyder has a fucking, he has a vendetta against Jimmy Olsen. He has to. Because he comes in, you're like, oh, I know that guy. Oh, God. He's gone. No. I always thought that was pretty weird.
Yeah, I almost would rather them just not have had him in it at all.
Have an unnamed CIA agent. Why'd you even call him Jimmy Olsen? It's because Snyder specifically wanted Olsen to be dead in his universe. That's why he did that. So I wonder what he has against him. Yeah, but I agree on Lois. She wasn't really given much to do, unfortunately, because Amy Adams is a fantastic actress and actually a really good Lois. Like, she was awesome in Man of Steel. So I just wish we could see that dynamic just a tad more. But again, that would have happened if it was a 10-hour miniseries. But unfortunately, it couldn't have been. So, and I think we're leaving out the most, and maybe I don't know if we're going to talk about it the most. The most out there character here is probably Lex Luthor, right? And I don't know what your opinion, what you think about him is, because he's nothing. He's nothing like any version I don't think we've ever seen of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, not movie-wise.
He's a lot more Riddler Joker-esque. He's like a hybrid between the two, I think.
Yeah, he's certainly more psychotic.
Do you like Jesse Eisenberg in this movie, or?
Yeah, I would say I do like him in the movie, but it's sort of like, I think just him in the background pulling strings would have been enough. Sort of like when he's in the scene with them, he really doesn't fit because he's not really challenging them mentally. And it's like Batman just seems the type that would just smash his skull in. And Superman would just seem the type that as soon as he saved everybody, he would go and fry Lex. Or snap his neck.
Oops, he was going to kill another family with his laser. I don't think that, and I think probably that, like I said, the original outline, I don't think Lex even created Doomsday, which is, I think, a weird kind of side quest again in this movie.
Yeah, because it wasn't comic appropriate, and then I remember even later Zach saying, this isn't the real Doomsday, and I'm like, well, then why did you even go in that direction?
Because they told him, put something in, so Batman and Superman, I read one comic book, Zachary, Batman and Superman, good guys. They're friends. And Zach was like, yes, they are. And we'll get to that eventually, but you need to give me the time for me to tell a couple of movies and we can build an arc and they'll be friends. But no, but then they need to be friends. Zachary, they need to be friends in the movie.
I love when Superman is on the ground and the Batmobile just bounces against him and crashes. And then, Superman just pulls the fucking doors off the car and then tells Batman the next time that light is in the sky, don't answer it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Tell me, do you bleed?
And then he flies away, and then Batman's like, you will.
I'm gonna get you, Superman.
But actually, that reminds me, for some reason, of another sequence I like. It's in the Batman-Superman fight. It's when Batman sprays him with a kryptonite to make him weak, and then just starts pummeling him in the face. And he's smashing him and smashing him. And then Superman slowly gets his power back. So his face stops like getting smacked and just kind of stays straight until he's like punching a block of iron kind of thing. And then he just steps back and Batman steps back a second. He's like, okay, maybe we can't talk this through. And then Superman pummels him. Like, that shit's fucking funny. That's good Batman humor. I don't like the kind of stuff they did in Justice League with his quippy Iron Man one-liners. I would much rather stuff like that, because he punches them. He's like, okay, that pretty much exhausted all my plans. So, and then obviously, I guess going from one fight to another, probably the best part of this movie, at least for me, is the warehouse fight.
Yes.
Which, when I saw it in theaters, I was probably
makes it seem like it's from like South Korea.
When I saw it in theaters, I can't really remember. But like, one of my favorite game series is the Batman game series. Arkham City is one of my favorite games ever, and I liked all of the other ones as well. They're all some of my favorite games. Like, they're all really, really, really good. So seeing a fight scene in a movie that was like pretty much pulled straight out of that was ridiculous and amazing to me, and I loved it. Him whipping around the room using a bunch of different gadgets was so cool. And then him beating the shit out of it, throwing a box at a guy's head, and the guy smacking into the wall and leaving like a blood smear on the wall. Like, that was fucking sick. Breaking bones and like kicking people into grenades. What's not to love, man? It's so badass.
Yeah, it's like he covered his face with his cape, because it was bulletproof. And then, like, when the guy comes up behind his cowl,
shoots him in the back of the head. He's like, he spins around and kicks his ass. Or when he shoots the grappling hook at a guy and then pulls it towards him and then beats him when he gets to him. That's cool as hell. It was ripped straight out of the games, and I loved every second of it. One of my favorite action sequences in a superhero movie, probably ever. I don't know about you.
No, it's definitely really good. I mean, I'd have to think about it, but it's like I like the hand-to-hand combat. I think as far as like the Batman stuff goes, it's more of a depiction of the brutality I think Batman would have in my version.
Just beating the fuck out of people for like 5 minutes straight, mercilessly. And then it has ripped straight out of the Dark Knight Rise or Dark Knight Returns too, with the KG Beast. I think that's his name, the henchman. And he's got the fire, and he's like, "I'll do it. I'll kill her." And he's like, "I know." And then he shoots the gas tank, and the guy blows up or whatever. So badass.
Right. Well, there's even the one shot with him on the side of the building with the lightning coming down when he's fighting Doomsday. That's like ripped straight from the Frank Miller comics too.
I like in the Doomsday fight how Batman like shoots the gun a couple of times, and he's, "Yeah, I'm just a man, so that's pretty much the extent of what I can do." And then he just like sits the rest of the fight out patiently and waits. The Kryptonite spear. What do you think about that? And why didn't like Aquaman bring the spear up from underwater?
When I was watching it at the theater, I was expecting that to happen. Was that Aquaman would show up?
How
with the
stupid
spear.
would that have been?
No, it would like
Jason Momoa shows up all of a sudden. It's like
expected.
He's just like, "Did somebody order a pizza?" And then he throws the spear at Doomsday.
I don't know if you have to be an idiot.
My man.
No, it's sort of like the Rock was so big. Why did he have to cut so much of it away to make a spear?
I don't know. Because he wanted to be badass, man. Bruce Wayne's edgy as shit. Beats me.
I don't know. It's like, why not just put him as like bullets in a gun?
Easily could have just shot him, but he wanted to pummel him.
20 of them.
He probably wanted to make Superman suffer like he made all the people in the city suffer. So, what do you think about the Bat branding?
Yeah, I mean that's more like Narcos type stuff right there.
Anyway, we didn't need to talk that much about that. It's just pretty fun. I just remembered it. It's pretty brutal.
Judge, jury, and executioner. What about the guy that had his legs crushed?
Scoot McNairy?
Just like him being the bad guy.
McNairy.
How many bad guys are in this movie?
He's always fantastic in everything he does. And you need to watch True Detective Season 3 to see probably one of the best television performances I've seen in a very long time from him. So
Whatever.
I'm not kidding.
Don't tell
I'm
me
just
what
saying
to do.
anyway. What about? So the thing is about like the Ultimate Edition, and we've talked about this thing on the last podcast. I don't know, sometime I rant about it all the time. The thing about the Ultimate Edition versus the theatrical is that it cuts out so many important bits to get pieces of the story. Like earlier, we talked about the bullet. That whole side quest isn't in the theatrical version, including cutting Jenna Malone completely out.
I was actually going to mention that my girl.
She's cut completely.
I can't believe.
Cut. But that whole side quest kind of sets up the idea that Superman's being framed, right? And then the woman from the village, her testimony is in the theatrical cut, but her confession to Holly Hunter that she lied because of Lex Luthor is not in the theatrical cut, which furthers the idea of Superman being framed and Lex pulling strings. So all of the stuff about Lex pulling strings and stuff like that comes completely out of left field in the theatrical cut. But once you put little pieces together, well, you would read between the lines, I think, in the theatrical cut, but then there was more more substance, I think, in the ultimate cut.
It was more overt.
Same with the idea of the wheelchair being lined with lead, which is why Superman couldn't see through it into the explosives that were inside.
Of course, that also brings up the question, why didn't he see like a rectangular section of something that he couldn't see through?
Just looks normal. I don't know how the lead would work in this universe. We really don't get all that much of it in any of the films. But...
Right. It's like, I was okay with inferring that he wasn't paying attention to that. He was doing something not for himself. He was doing something that he wasn't comfortable with.
He was paying attention
and people
to the
paid
testimony
the price.
And all of that. And because he had a moment of weakness and not being Superman, he didn't see it coming.
Which, made him question, like, I'm invulnerable and I can take all this stuff, but everybody can't. Maybe I shouldn't just have any dealings with people.
And then, the grandma's peach tea comes up, right?
Which was funny.
It's hilarious. I have a weird sense of humor, though.
It did make me wonder why Lex blew up his assistant.
Yeah.
When really neither one of them had to be there.
I don't know. But, and then the Henry Cavill's acting throughout the movie, I think, is great. But especially in that scene, when the whole courtroom blows up and everybody dies all around him, and he gives that one look of like, oh, fuck. Like the kind of just sad, like, I should have seen that. And he kind of gives like the almost giving up, like you said, Dr. Manhattan, where he's like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. And he flies away all sad.
I expected the Curb Your Enthusiasm music.
Gosh.
What
about the scene where he goes and talks to his dad on the...
Yeah, people in the theater were confused. Like, I could hear people saying, like, I thought his dad was dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, I don't like.
It's just a nice. It's just character building, man. Which again, I think we could have had more of if it was longer, but it's not. Unfortunately.
What you gonna do when they come for you?
The music.
Mm-hmm.
So we touched on it really
Junkie
quickly.
XL.
Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL created an incredible score for this movie, didn't they?
I
think it's probably, like you said, the best modern superhero score. The way that kind of not only does everybody have a theme, all of the characters, there are multiple variations of the themes. The themes play when like a Superman theme will play, for example, like when Batman's talking about Superman, like a darker version will play of it, or something like that. It's just an example of how he uses it to kind of mold the story through the music, which I've always loved. Like Lord of the Rings does that incredibly. It's what I ranted on the Endgame podcast about Marvel should have done. I can't help sneaking that in every time, But I just think it's this.
It's almost like Warner Brothers gets that
true,
better.
Because Lord of the Rings is Warner Brothers too, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's great stuff. And of course, you talked about Wonder Woman earlier, and her theme is fucking badass. I almost wish they didn't show her blocking Doomsday's blast in the trailer. Obviously, we didn't talk about the third trailer for this movie is atrocious.
Yeah,
it's really bad. It just spoils everything. But anyway, that shot where she jumps down and blocks the beam, and then like then she just like does the smile again, and then it starts to. It just gets me hyped up every time I hear that. Is she with you? I thought she was with you.
And then cut to the camera where they're both looking at it like it's The Office.
But then I like Batman's theme too, because like Hans Zimmer did the music for the Dark Knight trilogy as well, but he does a very different take on the music this time around. In the Dark Knight trilogy, it's bombastic, but it's lots of heavy brass and stuff like that. In this, he just uses drums, and I think that it's kind of to hit that sort of physicality and that brutality, I guess, that Batman has with him. But
there's like a lot of cellos too.
Because Batman's theme is that which you hear a lot. That's kind of Batman's motif, I guess. But almost every character has their own instrument, which is really cool. Because Batman's is the drum, Superman has the piano, Wonder Woman has the electric cello. I forget what Lex Luthor's instrument is called, but there's that theme has a fairly unique sound to it. But it's all kind of cool, and then hearing those different instruments come together to make like the ensemble pieces when they're fighting together or fighting each other is pretty cool. And the Man of Steel theme is ridiculously beautiful. I think it's so good.
Yeah,
and there's actually a breakdown somebody has on YouTube where maybe I'll write his name in the description or something. But he breaks it down in a way that shows to I don't know if you've seen it. While it's its own thing, the Man of Steel theme, it still follows the same chord progression as the John Williams one, just a lot slower. So it kind of pays homage to that. Still has that very Superman-y feel, but again breaks it down into the really somber kind of discovering who you are idea. I think that Snyder's Superman kind of explores, and I really wish we got to see more of. So that's my rant about film music for the day.
That'd have been nice. But instead, he had to have a mustache.
You can fight the friction. Reloads.
Yeah, at least he was in one good. Yeah, he was in one great movie that year, at least.
Last year?
Fallout,
last
man.
year, buddy. BVS wasn't. Neither was
I know, but
Justice
they were filming at the same time.
Yeah, that and Justice League. Shithead.
Am I gonna have to come across these internet lines and bust your face open?
Calm down there, Batman.
That wasn't even a Batman voice.
What else do we have to do?
Can't fight this feeling anymore.
I've forgotten what the words are to
you whore. So you type something here.
So I guess just to wrap up, like I really wish, and then I'll do that too, that Snyder kind of got to tell his story, I suppose, in full. I would have loved to have seen his proposed trilogy of Man of Steel in reality, which, you know, I think that film was a little meddled with as well too in some ways. I would have loved to have seen him just like be given full control over this, and then Justice League to tell that 3-arc or 3-story, whatever I'm trying to say, 3-film story arc of Superman, you know, because I think the idea was Man of Steel, something like Batman versus Superman, and then Man of Tomorrow, where Superman becomes at the end of it all, after defeating the villains and becoming friends with the Batman, you know, he becomes the Superman we know and love. He becomes like the Christopher Reeve Superman. He finds out who he's meant to be and kind of becomes who the world needs him to be, I guess. I think that's where it was going generally, but...
Well, isn't Justice League supposed to be a 2-parter?
It was, but it's not.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I meant.
It was, but it's not.
Because Darkseid was supposed to be the main villain.
Yes, and they allude to Darkseid in Justice League, but...
with the Omega symbol.
Well, not only that, I mean in Justice League himself. Like when they defeat Steppenwolf, he's like, "I'm coming home, Darkseid," and then like he flies away or whatever.
I meant Batman
when they do
Superman.
the nightmare sequence,
yeah, because you have the parademons, and then you have the Omega symbol, and then you have the Mother Box.
The whole outline for Snyder's trilogy, I think, is online somewhere, and if you're interested in all and what the story could have been, you can read that. There's some really interesting stuff. I can't remember it all off the top of my head, but it has to do with like Flash coming back in time because Superman's gone full-blown injustice kind of thing. And them doing like a time travel-esque story, I guess, or a dimension hopping story or something like that to try to correct things, and Lois being the key to it all. And like, you know, not, if Superman didn't lose Lois in some regard, then he wouldn't have gone mad, because like we were saying, she's that grounding wire, I guess, to him. She's what makes him human, her and his mom. So there was something like that they had, and interestingly, it was pretty interesting to read, and I recommend everybody kind of take a look at that, because it would have been cool, and if it's legit, I think it is, but it would have been cool to kind of see that whole thing come to fruition. But what we got is what we got, and I like this movie a lot, but I wish that he was able to kind of tell the story he wanted to tell in its entirety, start to finish, which is something we'll never get. So that was basically what I had written down in that little paragraph thing.
I wonder if people would have treated this movie more kindly in retrospect if the Justice League movie that he wanted had been made and it turned out the way that he wanted.
Probably. I would think so. But, you know, the Warner Brothers had such harsh demands on Justice League, like it had to be 2 hours or less kind of shit, which it is. It's 2 hours on the dot, Justice League, and you're like, the fuck? Why? This moves so quick. It's weird. But, you know, there was some unfortunate scenarios as well getting into that. The whole Joss Whedon had to come in and finish Justice League was because Zack Snyder's daughter had died. So obviously that was like a family tragedy, and him and the producer, his wife, Deborah, had to step away from the production. And Warner Brothers needs that money, so they finished it up anyway. And I think once Zack being gone, I think they were able to kind of push Joss a little more to do things that they wanted. So who knows? That's all speculation from me. Like, I feel like when Joss comes in, Warner Brothers probably went, yeah, can you reshoot this? And also the mustache. And that was probably Joss, and he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Whatever.
Well, considering the amount of people that talked about things that had been shot and parts of the movie that had been done that aren't actually in the movie, and then considering Warner Brothers' history with completely altering and reshooting and recreating movies the way that they want them done, it's not surprising in the least bit
Now
that it would be that way.
The existence of the Snyder Cut has been debated for the last 2 years since the movie came out. There was a long time where everyone said, no, there's no such thing, don't be a fucking moron kind of thing. But then like Zack Snyder's on some weird Vimeo-esque platform that nobody uses. I don't know what it's called even, but he's on that, and that's like his social media that he uses all the time. And someone asked him about it, and at one point he's like, yeah, it's edited, it's significantly longer, the CGI is not done, but it has everything that I wanted that we shot, and it's significantly longer than the theatrical cut, and if they okayed it I would release it, but they're not going to. So
it wouldn't surprise me if years down the road they don't do it, because I mean, look how many cuts there are of the original Superman movies.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think the first film has 4 different cuts available now.
Jeez.
And then the second film has 2 completely different cuts.
I still haven't seen the 3-hour cut of Superman.
Oh, there's a longer one.
Or is it the 4-hour one?
I think it's close to that. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like
I haven't seen
it's
that.
the made for
really,
television.
the really, really long one.
Yeah, that's the one that Warner Archive actually released the like ultimate edition of, and then the TV cut of,
Right.
which, you know, I was so shocked that they released it, even though I have the box set with the regular stuff. I'm like, I have to buy it now.
I gotta find that still. If you can find a link, I'll look. Don't look for me, but if you ever come across it, be like, hey, here it is. Because I'd love to see it. Don't do it right now.
What? I'll do whatever I want,
Okay,
motherfucker.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised me if
Shut
there's like a
your
2 hour and
fucking
40-minute cut of Justice League sitting around out there that we'll see one day. Who knows? I hope so, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad Zack Snyder's moving on to his own things again. You know,
Is he? What is he doing?
right now he's doing an Amazon. Right now he's doing a Netflix movie. It's a zombie heist movie. It's a heist movie set in the middle of a zombie apocalypse in Vegas.
Oh, Army of the Dead.
Yeah. With Dave Bautista, I believe.
Yep.
So it's Netflix. I'm gonna watch it the day it comes out. I've always liked Zack Snyder and everything he's done, so I'll check it out.
I haven't seen everything he's done. I didn't watch The Guardians.
I haven't seen. Oh, I forgot he did that. Okay, I haven't seen that in Sucker Punch, but I think I've seen everything else.
Okay, I've seen Sucker Punch.
I'm gonna watch it eventually, but like Dawn of the Dead, I love. 300 is pretty good. Man of Steel is great.
They have him listed for an Astro Boy movie as well.
Interesting. Anything else? You think it's gonna about do it?
Yeah, that's got to be it.
So, we defended it for the first 25-30 minutes. We put our dukes up and fought off the hordes of people on the internet who hate this movie. But I think they all moved on to Last Jedi anyway, so we're probably in the clear. But yeah,
I say that like I love Last Jedi.
I know. Anyway, I don't really get into this fight here. That's for another day. We've still yet to do our hot debate episode that we've been talking about, something that we want to, where you love a movie and I hate it, or vice versa, or something. We haven't done.
Yeah, but you don't want to be wrong, do you?
God damn it. We also have to do a totally negative movie at some point. But we'll do.
Well, I'm always ready for that.
Oh God, you hate everything. Right. Well, in that case, that was BVS Deo Joe. That was Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition. A movie we both like, and I think we can put our seal of approval on this one. Despite it being heavily contested and a low score on Rotten Tomatoes, we don't think it gets its just desserts, in that it deserves a whole lot more respect. Would you agree?
I don't really care what people feel about it. I just wish that he was able. I wish he was able to make the movies the way he wanted them to, because that's what I'm about.
Yeah, I like unhinged creative freedom. So, I bought this movie the day it came out on Blu-ray. I don't know about you. And then Manta Lab has a nice steelbook, and I bought that when it went on sale. So it's
I have the 3D Blu-ray edition that has 3 Blu-ray discs.
I have that as well. I technically have 2.
Some person gave me the 4K one for free, so I have 2 versions of the movie for some reason.
That's pretty good. I also have 2 versions of it. Actually, it's the same version twice, just one in a steelbook. So it's the 3D cut both times. But Ultimate Edition comes with both, so that's all you need. Love is all you need, right? All you
that's
need
what I hear.
Is love.
Well, that's a different song.
So if you like the show, feel free to give us a subscribe and hit that little ding a 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 ding bell. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I know. Yeah,
we just got unsubscribed for that.
All of them are gone now, including me. It would sure help out the show. I don't like sounding like one of those stupid like and subscribe and ring the bell things. But we don't have very many, so it'd be good. Yo, we're fans. Come watch the show every single week. If you do like it, leave us a comment, and we'll probably read it on air. I know we had a comment on the Avengers Endgame video, which isn't up in front of me, but it was awesome video. So I don't know if the guy just watched it for a half a second and then left it, or if he watched it all the way through. And if you're listening to this one and you watched it all the way through, leave another one and call Garrett a fucking idiot, like most people do. We don't know what we're going to do next week.
I'll block that.
We might do a themed episode. We haven't done one of those in a little while. We might do a different movie. We never know. But we always play it by ear anyway. It's a surprise now. And in case you didn't notice, starting with Superbad. What's that?
Nothing.
And in case you didn't notice, starting with a Superbad episode, we're having some custom art done now from our resident Microsoft Paint expert, Garrett DiNardo. So
expert is really stretching it.
Shout out to him for his.
And I want everyone to realize that this isn't the best I can make it look. It's the worst that is also funny.
Yeah, and it is hilarious, especially this week's is with those big bug eyes you put on me. Jesus. So shout out to that shithead for making that. And while I'm shouting out people for making channel art, shout out to Jesse Speed for designing our little logo. He's the only shout out I've ever given him in all 26 episodes. So
yeah, I mean, we used to put it in the description.
That's true, but you removed that, you asshole.
Yeah, who needs credits?
You should put them in.
Credits?
Where the credit could be, but it's not. Anyway, if you like the show, you can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow the show on Twitter at digital_podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex's Reviews and Garrett at Garrett DiNardo. You can also follow both Garrett and I on our Letterboxd accounts. I think
links are in the
you put
description.
links in the description for that. You can track us, see what we watch, see where we live, see where we're going around. Track us like hunters, like Craven the Hunter. And if you see us both watch a movie, maybe it's coming up on a future episode, and then you can watch it and discuss it with us in the comments. So that's about it. Bye. Anyway, got anything else, Garrett?
No, you already said bye.
Oh, right. Well, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for actually listening. If you're here, if you're not, that's because you didn't listen all the way here. But you never know. But if you are here and you are listening to it, we do appreciate it.
And if there's like a cute girl out there, I don't care if she finds out where I live.
What if there's a really big, burly beaver?
Girl? Burly beaver. There could be a cute girl and she could be like from Audition.
Oh gosh.
You just want to like poison me.
You just want to cut your leg off and throw it at the window?
Yeah. That'd be fun. The thing is, that would be a different experience.
I guess. The kind of experience you can only have once.
Yeah. Because once they
you have
cut off
two
your
legs.
leg.